Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now, I'm going to react to Let's Know K Get to Know Me Tag 2019. So, the link will be in the bottom below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I want to give another big shout out to Let's Know K. Now,
hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
This video is on her YouTube channel, so I really recommend you guys to check out her YouTube channel. Please show support and love.
Opportunity for you guys
Subscribe
to get to know me a little better.
And watch her videos with likes, comment, follow her on media, on social media. I mean,
the things that I post. I just thought it'd be fun to do tag
she
videos. When I first started
to do
this
very
channel,
well
I
on
used to do a lot of
YouTube.
tag videos, and you guys
She
used
is
to really
amazing.
like them. So we're gonna do a about me tag questions. So
I
kind of
can see
like
off right now.
tag for 2019.
And she has
So
scored
let's get started. The first question is, what is your full name?
2,000 subscribers.
Norima, Torres. I go by Nora, and
I would like her to get to like 5,000
nicknames for me,
subscribers,
but
or 10,000
the one that I like
subscribers,
the
or
most is
100,000
It's the
subscribers.
easiest, and it's just,
Could I have him
that's my name.
one day
Are
in
you
my
named after anyone? Yes.
You got
I
to
am
like believe in
named
yourself,
after my
be
aunt.
positive,
Her name
enjoy
was Norma
making
Irma,
content, interacting
and
with
my father
different
combined
people,
her name all together and made my name.
and yeah.
Does your name make any interesting anagrams? I don't think so. If you had to change your first name, what would you change
this reaction
it
to the
to?
Ruby Speak into 3 parts, by the way.
That's a good one. I would, for sure. And if I had to change it, I do like the name. I like the name Natalie, and I like the name Desiree.
Natalie.
Those are 2 names that I've always loved.
I know
Where are
I'm
you
so
from?
important,
I was
Natalie.
born in Aguadilla,
She is
Puerto
one
Rico.
of my sister's friends.
And I was raised, the next question is, where did you grow
And
up?
they used to go to
I
the
was
same
raised in,
primary and high school.
Arizona. Different parts
together.
of Arizona that I
Maybe
lived in
Kelly
my
has
whole
well.
life.
I can't remember.
I was raised by my aunt and uncle, and they would travel
You
back
know
and
about them,
forth
it's
between
about
Arizona
Noah.
and Puerto Rico a lot.
It's about her.
So I was raised both Arizona and Puerto Rico, but the majority of the time was Arizona. What are your best characteristics? I want to say I am resourceful. If I don't know something, I will research it and learn it. I am resilient. I think that's how you say it. Where
I think that's how you say it.
I don't let things just keep me
I
down.
never say the
I
words,
always
to
try
be
to find a
honest.
way out of a bad
And
situation.
I'm sorry I didn't pronounce the word right.
So resourceful, resilient, and willing to learn and willing to better myself. So those 3 are probably. What are your favorite things about yourself? That I would probably say, considering like everything I've been through the past couple of years, I still have hope and I keep faith in things getting better. So I try to remain optimistic about things. Let's see. Which of your parents are you closest to? Well, my mother passed away a couple years ago. We were close as I was an adult, but when I was a child, we weren't that close because I was raised by my aunt and uncle.
It's nice to lose someone you love.
Is like not really a presence in my life, so I'm not really close to him. So at this time, nobody. But for a short moment, I was close to my mom. We were more like best friends because she didn't raise me, so we were more like good friends versus a mother-daughter relationship, if that makes sense. Which of your parents are you more like? That's a tough one. I see characteristics of both in me. I think as far as the loving side of me, my loving side, the hopeful side, my compassionate side would probably be my mother. She was like very compassionate, empathetic, loving, just, you know, a very happy, positive person. So I see that as far as my mom goes. And then my dad would probably be like my temper if somebody comes for me. You get what I'm saying? Like, he didn't like, never really had a temper with me, but I noticed that he did have a temper like in general. So my good characteristics from my mom's side, my negative ones from my father's side, if that makes sense. Are your grandparents still married? No. Both of my grandfathers are passed away, and I have one grandmother left who's alive, but her husband, my grandfather, passed. So yeah, they're not. What relative was important to you growing up and why? The most important relative to me would have to be my grandmother who passed away, my father's mother. Her name was Miguelina, and we had a connection, and it's so hard to explain, but maybe some of you guys can relate. Me and my grandmother had such a good connection, like a spiritual connection. My grandmother was what they call like, she was like old school Puerto Rico, very spiritual, very much into spirituality, very much into healing. She was like considered like a town healer. It's not common in the US, but it's very common in Puerto Rico for people like that. And me and her had just like this like understanding of each other. I feel like I got a lot of my love for spirituality from her and my curiosity for it. So she was the most important person to me because I could just be myself 100% around her, and she would never judge me. And she knew what was going on in my childhood, and she always tried to like protect me from it. So my grandmother was definitely the most important person in my life until she passed, and she still is, you know. And I still feel that connection to her even though she's passed away. So she was a great person. What is the one thing that you've never revealed to your parents? I never had a chance to reveal to my parents.
Sammy is outside.
I want to say, this is such an intrusive question too, but I don't think my parents ever knew. Well, my mother definitely didn't know, but my father, I don't think he ever knew that I had been married to a woman, that I dated both men and women. Not that that was really like their business, but I never let them in on that side of me. And I want to say that's it. I didn't really let them in on a lot of details of my personal life. A lot of the things I did for a living, I never told them about, only because I didn't want to like disappoint, my father, because he's the only one alive, but I guess fear of them being disappointed in me or whatever.
So you used to be
but
married
at this
to
day
women.
and age, like now it doesn't matter anymore. I'm no longer doing things I'm ashamed of. So
I know there are people outside.
what would your parents have
there are
named
people
you if
like
you were the opposite
around the
gender?
world
I
that
have no
are
idea.
of straight,
What
bisexual,
do you call
gay,
your grandparents?
lesbian,
Abuela, abuelo.
transgender,
What is your best physical feature?
pansexual,
Personally,
one
I
as
would
well.
say my eyes. I don't have like anything special about them, but to me, my eyes kind of give away more about
and I do
me
have
than any other part of
friends
me,
who
you know?
are like straight,
What's
bi,
your biggest accomplishment?
gay, etc. And I'm fine
I would
with
say
that.
after I got
I don't
sick
judge
with, like,
people,
a couple
to
of
be honest.
chronic illnesses, like autoimmune
Or what I
stuff.
am.
My biggest accomplishment was going from losing
Everyone should deserve the
absolutely
same
everything
respect.
and almost to the
Everyone
point
should-
of homeless
Everyone
in a
deserves to
shelter
treat the same
to being able
way.
to have my own home and provide for ourselves and keep a roof over our head and get my shit 1000% together, that would probably have to be my biggest accomplishment. Even though I was sick as hell, and I'm still sick, even though I was sick as hell, I was able to go from living in a shelter, sleeping in a bed on the floor in a shelter, to having a house and having a car and driving again. I never thought I would drive again when I got sick, and I did all of this while I was sick. So believing in myself and just not giving up.
Oh, positive.
Let's see. What is your biggest fear? My biggest fear, the biggest fear I have is the fear of death. And it is a disabling, crippling fear that fucks with me every single day.
Apologize
when
for
you
the
have like a
language.
chronic illness and you have crazy symptoms that are like unexplainable. That fear is always in the back of my head every single day. It is exhausting to live that way. So that's a big fear that I'm working on, but ultimately you have no control over that. So it's more about letting go of the fear. So still working on that. What is your eye color? Brown? I want to say dark brown.
I want to say that
What
you
inspires
should
you?
treat like
What
each
inspires me
day as
is
if it were your last day.
I have goals
here.
and I have dreams of
Because you don't know
things that I
when
really
it's
want
going
to
to end.
do, and providing a better future for my children so that they won't
you
need
only
absolutely
live once.
anything, and I want them to be set for
And
their future.
life is too short.
That's
Do you
my
want- do you
inspiration
want-
is
do
my
you
kids
know what
being
I mean?
set 100%, not having
You
to
should
go
like
through
enjoy
any of the shit I've gone through in my life. That's my inspiration.
Enjoy doing things that you
What is the
love
most important thing in your
doing.
life? My children?
Getting on well with
and God.
everyone.
What has required the most courage of you in your life so far? I would have to say what's required the most courage is
Doing positive.
pushing